27 minutes worth of extra time, John.
Yeah, late goals are all the fashion this season. Falkirk 1, Rangers 1, still Aberdeen 4, Dundee 0. We saw a late one yesterday, didn't we, Mark, with Chelsea. That dramatic victory over Liverpool, which will have gone down very well in Manchester. Both United and City, of course, but particularly City in terms of their ambitions this season. But that's a blow to the ambitions, to lose Rodri. And you would think if that is a hamstring injury, which it appears to be, that's likely a matter of weeks without Rodri. As a burst down the left-hand side by Savinho wins a free throw-in for Manchester City.
Yeah, no, it really depends on how bad it is. I mean, I believe it or not, I actually tore my hamstring as well. I mean, the tender young age of 41, and I was only out for 12 days. So it really depends on how bad a tear it is. So hopefully for Manchester City and Roger, because we all like to see Roger playing, what a player he is, that it's not too serious.
Yeah. Yes, it's Matthew Upson who is my summariser expert on injuries. He tends to know with all of the issues that he had during the latter part of his career. As the ball bounces out of play on the halfway line, and Savinho challenged by Kyoto, but it's a free kick to Manchester City. Frustrating for Pep Guardiola as well. Hansen is deep in his pockets, down in front of us, staring down at the ground. And in the early stages of this match, there'd been so much, I'm sure, that he liked what he'd seen from this Manchester City performance today, not least the goal from Haaland, but that little move as well, you know, the slick passing just before Rodri sat down with his injury, but now the important man, Rodri, out of the game.
Yeah, I think it's pretty much what we expected in terms of Manchester City being in possession most of the time, in control of the match. They haven't created a lot of chances, but you know, they've taken obviously one big one where Haaland, I think, did really well, out-muscling the defender.
As the ball's played forward by Diaz into the Brentford penalty area, that's headed away by Vandenberg, and Brentford are able to clear it further away towards the halfway line through Yarmolyuk. Oh, and then the ball, the attempted pass over the top, that was for the run of Schade, but Guardiola was able to hop into the air and chest it down.
He does brilliantly. He does absolutely brilliantly. Guardiola, because that was through, Schade was through, and I think he was onside. I mean, the idea and the quick thinking of Thiago was exceptional. Just couldn't quite get the height on the ball.
Ball played forward for City, but Kelleher's able to come forward and claim the ball on the edge of the box. So Brentford 0, Manchester City 1. We've already heard from Ange Postecoglou on 5 Live Sport this afternoon after Nottingham Forest's 2-0 defeat at Newcastle. Heard from Nick Voltemade as well, who scored the second goal from the penalty spot. So that is now 7 matches under Ange Postecoglou and Nottingham Forest yet to win. So Newcastle 2-0 winners there. Aston Villa 2-1 winners over Burnley. Everton came from a goal down to beat Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace beaten for the first time this season. And Wolves 1, Brighton 0. And we will have more reaction to those matches at half-time. Jordan Henderson jumping for the ball, but Gonzalez and Savinho either side of him, and Manchester City have got it back. There's a foul centre field on Gonzalez, and that is a free kick for Manchester City in the centre circle. Back to Falkirk Rangers, Kenny Crawford.
Full-time score, Falkirk 1, Rangers 1. Another uninspiring performance by 8th placed Rangers. Bojan Majowski's close-range opener for the visitors cancelled out by a wonderful long-range strike by Leicester City loanee Henry Cartwright. It's now 24 successive away matches without a clean sheet for Rangers. Falkirk 1, Rangers 1.
Correction as well, Wolves 1, Brighton 1, the final score at Molineux. I'm sure there'll be more reaction to Rangers' struggles on 606 later with Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton tonight. But this is 5 Live and the World Service from the BBC. Listen as well on the move via the BBC Sounds app. And Manchester City with their noses in front through the Erling Haaland goal. As Reinders drops back into his own half and passes it forward to Mateus Nunes. Now here is Oscar Bob, who started on the right, stayed on the right. Bob back to Diaz. Nico Gonzalez makes himself available. Diaz again in possession, looks forward, and then receives it back once more. Brentford trying to put him under pressure, but Manchester City is just knocking the ball around the red and white shirts, which Bob does now. Infield to Foden. Lovely. Foden balance, shoots, took a deflection which took the pace off it, and it bounced through to Kelleher to collect. Also full-time score at Celtic, Gavin Wallace.
Celtic 3, Motherwell 2, and the hosts had to come from behind to go within 2 points of Hearts at the top. Motherwell's first defeat of the season. Stamfilopoulos at the brace, Iniacho, Negrin and Maeda keep the points in Glasgow. Celtic 3, Motherwell 2.
Still Aberdeen 4, Dundee 0, but it'll be full-time there as well shortly. Sharda for Brentford on the left wing. Just checks back, gives it to Damsgaard, who's behind it. And then back to Hickey, starting again as he did against Manchester United last weekend. That was Hickey's first Premier League start for 700 days. Coyote with a cross from the right, headed away for City and collected by Bob on the edge of his own penalty area. There's really been buffeted by the wind on the edge of the penalty area. You can probably hear it in our microphones. And then Gonzalez almost loses out to Damsgaard on the edge of the box. Just got his toe into it, Mark, to keep possession for Manchester City.
Yeah, a couple of minor close calls there for Manchester City. I mean, the ball from Cody was a brilliant one into the box. I think in the end it was Diaz who manages to out-jump Damsgaard, which you'd always expect him to be the favourite to do so, but it was a bit of pressure from Damsgaard and it almost popped down for Brighton as well in the 6-yard box. And then after that, trying to play out at the back, Manchester City, Brentford are on that front foot. They're really trying to put pressure on the ball. You just feel every time Manchester City beat that first press, and then they're out, and Brentford are back on the retreat.
Manchester City absolutely dominating possession of the ball, which I think you would have particularly expected them to do against Brentford, who are not being fazed by this. It's Bob up against Hickey. Oh, excellent, beats him, then pulls it back, stab goalwards, but that's blocked inside the box. And Brentford are able to scramble it away. Foden it was crowded out really as much as anything else as he arrived on the ball in the Brentford penalty area.
Yeah, Oscar Bob's acceleration and trickery down the right-hand side was exceptional. He creates that half a chance from nothing. And his ball into the box was really good, and unfortunately for Phil Foden, there was just no space. You can see Haaland had sort of peeled away and dropped into that space just outside the 6-yard box, between 6-yard box and penalty area, and then Foden, as he comes onto it, just closes down, doesn't it? The whole area just closes up, and there was just no space to get that shot away.
Well, we're talking about the unfortunate Rodri, with all of the time that he's missed from the game over the course of the last season, but a similar thing applies to Oscar Bob, doesn't it? After he broke his leg at the start of last season and in the end was out for 8 months. They're easing him back as well, but that was a little cameo, wasn't it, of what he can offer.
Yeah, he did really well, just really quick feet and turn of pace, and then once he gets inside, he just looks for a simple pass. He picks out his man, lifts his head, picks out the pass, and unfortunately for Manchester City, it's just that little bit too far in front of Phil Foden as he's lunging towards and trying to get the shot away, just can't get enough on it.
That match has ended now in the Prem, and Northampton have won it. Gloucester 35, Northampton 37. Choice of listening at the moment on Sports Extra. You can hear the Women's Cricket World Cup match between India and Pakistan, with Pakistan chasing 248 to win that. And a little later on, Sports Extra 2 will bring you commentary on the Rugby League Super League Women's Grand Final between Wigan and St Helens. Kelleher with the free kick from inside his own half. Long for Donnarumma, who comes very nearly to the edge of the penalty area, in amongst a crowd of players, but stretches high and is able to bring it down.
Yeah, he's under a lot of pressure from Nathan Collins, and Donnarumma, I mean, on second attempt gets hold of it, but again, it's a perfect ball. Kelleher's long ball, he's about, 5-10 yards still in his own half. Kelleher, as he launches it towards the 18-yard box, just too much height on it. It's a goalkeeper's ball all day long, and Donnarumma comes out and claims it.
But in these swirly, windy conditions, Mark, your old position, what are the watchwords on a day like this for a goalkeeper?
Yeah, the warm-up is key, and also throughout the game, the wind can change.
Oh, nice pass that from Reinders to Bob. Bob pulls it back. Foden shoots across the face of goal and wide. Perhaps should have done better there, Foden.
I'm not sure if he's actually going for a shot there. I'm not sure if he's aiming for that far post area, because that's where Haaland peels off to. But it was a half-hearted attempt. If it was a shot, I think it's more of a cross, and he gets that wrong.
Well, it opened up for him. Haaland was away to his left.
Or maybe he's just trying to curl it into that far corner area. But the ball's always going away, and in the end misses by probably what, good 5-6 yards at least.
Still Brentford 0, Manchester City 1. 5 Live and the World Service from the BBC. This our 8th Premier League commentary match that we've brought you over the course of this weekend on various platforms. Brentford with a throw-in over on the far side. Brentford coming into this match, 7 points from 6 matches, and it's the famous long throw time.
It's back.
Here it comes. They have scored more goals than anyone else in the Premier League from long throws since the start of last season. And Keith Andrews just watching from the edge of his technical area. Manchester City will have been ready for this. Everyone knows about it, but knowing about it and dealing with it are two different things. Donnarumma is trying to force some space. Here's the long throw in, which is well, the whistle's gone. I think he stepped onto the pitch.
No, I think he's got a raised leg. I think that's what he's given. So that the thrower lifts his leg as he throws it. So
it's a foul throw.
It's a foul throw, basically.
Well, that was much ado about nothing.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure if it was, because there was a lot going on in the 6-yard box. And I don't know whether it was a case of that's the easy one out, because he has to make a decision in the 6-yard box. Donnarumma was shoving Reinders in the back to try and push the attacker away. I think he's got the right setup.
Yeah.
I just don't think he should be pushing him. Yeah. I think he should be letting Reinders move him out of the way, but Thiago was pushing back quite a bit.
So the officials basically have, as the ball's played back to Donnarumma, the crowd are onto him, passes it across the penalty area, and Gvardiol very well finds Foden, and now it's dragged back. What a turn that was by Savinho in the centre circle, might have been clipped. The ball ran away from him, but no free kick given. Brentford have got it back on the halfway line, and now Yarmolyuk turns and concedes a throw on the halfway line. So officialdom ended the possibility of that long throw actually creating some havoc. But as you say, Mark, you know, the markers have been very much put down there.
They have been, yeah. I mean, this is obviously, we knew that Brentford, obviously, we saw that the other week, throwing the long ball into the box, causing havoc. The long throw is back. I love to see it. It's so difficult to defend against when you've got a really low-driven throw. You know, it's so hard. And the problem you have is you can't read it until it's halfway on its way already. When someone kicks the ball, you've got their swing, their movement, their body shape to be able to read it. When it's a long throw, it's so difficult to pick it up.
Just for the record, it is 7 Premier League goals that they've scored from throw-ins since the start of last season, which is 4 more than any other team. So obviously that's Thomas Frank last season, just the 1 this season, but that was when they drew 2-2 here with Chelsea, and Carvalho scored right at the end. Savinho, though, it's Manchester City coming forward. Here's Haaland, square from him to Bob, just outside the D, and then he works it to his right. Reinders clips it back across. That is headed away by Vandenberg for Brentford, and then cleared further away to the halfway line. But Manchester City just take up possession again. 10 minutes to go, just over that to half-time. Brentford 0, Manchester City 1, and City leading through Erling Haaland's 12th Manchester City goal of the season. He's already got 9 in the Premier League this campaign. If he stays fit, in this sort of mood, he'll be very difficult to catch at the top of those charts. Donnarumma passing it out to Foden. Yeah. And then back to Diaz. Forward from him to Mateus Nunez. Damsgaard just got a touch on that. Sharda, Henderson, here's Thiago just outside the D, looking for a position to shoot, which he does, but straight into Diaz on the edge of the box. I think he just wanted a little bit too much time there.
He just, again, I think it was one of those, but because the ball was up in the air a little bit, just waited for it to drop. Didn't feel like he'd get a clean strike on the ball, and by the time it drops, the defender's there, and it makes a really good block. So, again, half a chance for Brentford.
Ball back to Callagher on the edge of his penalty area. Donnarumma in the Manchester City goal has not had a save to make yet. The ball is played back to him again. They've tried to make it difficult for him when the ball's gone back, as it has now, but no pressure on him just at the moment. When half-time comes, we will hear more from Ange Postecoglou, by the way. We'll also hear from the Newcastle United manager, Eddie Howe, and Jack Grealish as well, who scored the goal that won it for Everton. Here is O'Reilly. to Savinho. Savinho in the Brentford right back area with the cross that comes off the defender, Coyote. That's behind, that's a Manchester City corner, and the City fans in that section of the community stadium clapping their hands in encouragement as Phil Foden goes across there to take it. There's a low five between him and Savinho, and Foden is given an extra warm reception as he arrives in that area next to the Manchester City fans. He's got to go and get the ball off the cone, 10 yards away himself to place down. What have you spotted?
Yeah, the referee wants the ball away, or he actually wants, he wants it away from behind the goal. So it was resting up against the goal net.
Didn't want it blowing back on the pitch. As actually, who's thrown that ball back onto the pitch?
It's a steward. The steward was then encouraged to pick the ball up off the back of the net of the goal, and not really paying attention to the game.
Foden's now kicked it back to where the steward was, and the referee's blown his whistle, and now Collins has actually gone off the field to kick it away.
I think he was indicating it has to do with the goal line technology, the chip in the ball. It's interfering.
Very good working that one out. Foden with the corner, which is headed away for Brentford to comparative safety by Collins. Comes back into the centre circle. Now Reinders. Here's a ball towards the edge of the penalty area. A stretch and away from Coyote. And Manchester City back in possession again. Yes, so you clearly cannot have another ball anywhere near the cameras that monitor the goal line technology.
Yeah, it's obviously inside the lines of the post, but behind on the other side of the goal, of course. But it's right up against the net, so it must be interfering with the goal line technology.
Yeah. Brentford 0, Manchester City 1. Thick grey clouds now beginning to blow across West London. There could be rain on the way. But I think with this wind, if it comes, it'll be a short, sharp shower. O'Reilly with a cross, left foot into the back post. Reinders with a shot. Oh, good save. Good save, Kelleher. Threw up a right arm and parried it up into the air and away and back into the box where Brentford were able to clear it. But excellent first-time shot from Reinders.
Yeah, it's a really good ball to the far post. Nice run. Well timed from Reinders. Peeling away, coming to that back post area completely free. Hits it on the volley, inside of his foot. And Kelleher is a brilliant right hand. Really strong hand. Great save.
Which keeps it at 1-0. But if that had been significantly either side of him, the way that it was struck, beautiful poise and timing from Reinders, who I saw him on the first day of the season, Mark, at Molineux when they won 4-0 at Wolves, and he had a brilliant Premier League debut that day. I'm not sure he's actually hit those heights as regularly, but he's made a very promising start to this match, and he is clearly a very, very talented player.
Yeah, no, he's definitely been a very good addition to the Manchester City squad, and I think he's found his feet pretty quickly. You're right, played really, really well against Wolves.
Bob now for Mateus Nunes. Nunes with a cross to the back post, important header, little glance header away from Coyote. Brentford's number 33. Now it's taken up by Manchester City's number 33, O'Reilly. Savinho is there as well in the orange boots. Back to O'Reilly. Back to Reinders, who then is able to receive it back and go into the centre circle to Diaz. Diaz just taking the ball to his right. Mateus Nunes drops back into position. And then Gvardiol, Nico Gonzalez tells him where to go with it. Gonzalez on the field because of an injury to Rodri. If you've just switched on, Rodri had to go off with what looked like a hamstring problem after 20 minutes, but by then Manchester City were already leading, and now Diaz is tugged back by Yarmolyuk in the centre circle. So a free kick that Manchester City take quickly to O'Reilly. O'Reilly carries it forward. Savinho is there, heels almost on the white line over on the far side. He wriggles infield away from Coyote, then square from Reinders to Mateus Nunes. Foden, 25 yards out, stabs it here to Oscar Bob, the other Norwegian in the Manchester City team. Bob, Foden available. Excellent play without the ball from Manchester City here. You know, there always seems to be someone available. Here it is once again, Phil Foden. I'm sure he'll have a determination about him after not being included by Thomas Tuchel, who said lots of complimentary things and nice things. He's only been in the first squad for Thomas Tuchel, but he said he was brilliant, did all the right things. However, He's not in the squad. Just like Jude Bellingham. Forward from Diaz to Bob again. Bob to Reinders. Reinders took a couple of touches there. O'Reilly. It's training ground stuff. This from Manchester City at high pace. O'Reilly continues into the box. Here's the cross into the middle. It actually comes off Van den Berg. There were one or two shouts from the Manchester City fans that it might have struck an arm. Mateus Nunes back in from him. That's headed away by Jordan Henderson for Brentford. Manchester City again. Brentford just can't get the ball off them. Reinders still, and then back it goes to the halfway line.
Yeah, difficult for Brentford at this moment in time. It's more about backs to the wall, trying to make sure they don't sort of open up too many spaces for Manchester City. Don't concede a second goal. Very fortunate there. Delivering the box was, again, really, really good. Van den Berg just tries to chest it, realises, I think, he has to turn out of the way a little bit, otherwise he's chesting it back towards his own goal. And by doing so, it actually hits Collins on the way through as well, and they're just fortunate enough. It's only the slightest of touches that it continues out of the 8-yard box.
Well, looks like Barcelona might be on the way to defeat, Mark. They're 3-1 down now in added time at Sevilla. Manchester City with it on the left-hand side. I saw Bellingham was on the bench again for Real Madrid last night, came on as a substitute. City with Guardiol in the central third of the field. Manchester City 1-0 up. But it feels like constantly threatening a second goal in this match. Kelleher's made a very good save from Reinders. There's been a number of blocks in a congested Brentford penalty area, and Manchester City still with the ball. Brentford under Keith Andrews this season, the facts and figures show that since they returned to the Premier League this season, Brentford have recorded the lowest amount of ball possession of all of their time so far in the Premier League, and that's why I say they won't be fazed by this. However, it's very difficult when you're seeing so little of it. Nunes infield, they've got it back now. It's being brought forward by Nathan Collins, but his pass to Damsgaard might have been fouled there. Collins is saying after he passed the ball, he was caught by Gonzalez, but referee England says play on. We've got about 90 seconds of the first 45 minutes to go. Yeah,
the less possession you have puts a lot more pressure on you when you do have it. So then you've got to be more precise in possession in those limited times you have it. And that's the challenge for Brentford. At times as well, defending, shuffling from one side of the pitch back and forth all the time. Chasing your runners is also hard work, tiring. So when they do get possession, it's difficult then to get numbers for because it's so deep.
And the Brentford number 9, Igor Thiago, who we're talking about before the game, you're looking forward to what he might offer. It's absolutely. I'm not sure whether he'll have touched the ball, maybe, well, certainly inside the opposition half, maybe 2 or 3 times, if that. Ball out of play for a throw-in for Manchester City. Ruben Diaz is close enough to Pep Guardiola to receive a low 5 from him. Dressed all in black today, a light black hooded top, those cargo trousers that he likes with the big pockets down the sides, black shoes. Watching Mateus Nunes take the throw, and Nunes passes it all the way back to Diaz, who goes back to the goalkeeper. Donnarumma passing it out to Gonzalez, who swings it into the path of Mateus Nunes, who now has space to take it 30, 40 yards. Mateus Nunes then turns Oscar Bob against Hickey into the penalty area. Still Bob goes for the byline, right-footed cross, but Kelleher's at the near post to make the catch into his chest.
Yeah, it's a wasted opportunity there for Manchester City because Brentford pushed forward. They tried to put a press on there. You had Shada, Thiago and Henderson were really high up. They beat the press City pretty easily, and by that time they're on the counter, and they just don't make the most of having that extra advantage, having a bit more space.
2 minutes of added time being played at the end of the first half as Shada is fouled by Diaz. 10 yards, 15 yards maybe inside the Manchester City half. I think I saw an imaginary yellow card being waved by Shada there, and it's a yellow card instead for Shada, and referee England actually does the same motion to Shada, waves an imaginary yellow card to tell everyone that you cannot do that, as we know, and if you do, you're going to get booked, which he has been.
Yeah, right, absolutely. The referee's fully, it's correct decision. You know, player, you don't want that. Players always continuously sort of showing or remonstrating that they want to see a card. referee right on top of it. Well played.
I think this might be the last action of the first half, and it is a set-piece chance for Brentford, even though it is, as I say, 15 yards inside the Manchester City half. Quite gloomy now, those floodlights beginning to take effect here, thick grey clouds. Hickey takes this square to Damsgaard, who will go for the long ball into the area. Donnarumma comes, and with those long arms, just the tiniest little jump into the air, he's able to catch it comfortably high above his head.
Well, he knew he was not contested. I mean, the ball was just a looping side ball into the 8-yard box. It was a very easy take for the goalkeeper. It's just a poor set play. They've done it a couple of times now, and their delivery in the box has just been not good enough.
No, Manchester City have gobbled it up. So the 2 minutes are almost up. Just the one goal, the bags and bags of possession. You know, if you told me it was 85% possession, that would not stretch the imagination in the slightest. And there is the half-time whistle. Domination by Manchester City, but just the one goal, Mark Schwarzer, but a good one it was. Absolute typical out of chapter 1 of the Erling Haaland playbook, that goal.
Yeah, it was. It was all about his muscle, his strength, his determination, his time of his run. He does so well off the back of Collins there. Just nudges his body in between Collins and the ball. And from that point onwards, it was always going to be Haaland who was going to get, at the very least, a shot off. And then he was ruthless, wasn't he, in front of goal as he smashes in the back of the net. And I think Brentford are fortunate to be only 1-0 down. So they've got a chance here, Keith Andrews, at half-time to rally the troops, to have a word with these players, and a better performance in that second half. They're still in this game, only just.
Yeah, Erling Haaland, the camera hovering around him as he leaves the pitch, having scored his 18th goal for club and country during the course of this season. Still not as many as Harry Kane, incidentally, but he's doing all right. And it's Brentford 0, Manchester City 1 at half-time.
John, Mark, thank you very much indeed. So before we're back with the guys for second half commentary at Brentford, we will hear from Ange Postecoglou, Eddie Howe, Jack Grealish. We'll try and fit in some George Russell as well after he won the Singapore Grand Prix. And then we'll speak to Robbie Savage because the lines are open for 606 08085 909 693. Dan Maudsley's got the news on 5 Live.
The voice of the UK.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Thanks, Steve. The Home Secretary, Shabana Mahmood, has written to the Chief Constables in England and Wales, alerting them to new powers which will allow them to restrict repeated protests. The measures are a response to frequent pro-Palestinian demonstrations, including an event in London yesterday where almost 500 people were arrested. Speaking on Sunday with Laura Koonsberg, Shabana Mahmood said she was worried about community relations in the UK. She said the new rules wouldn't prevent peaceful protests, but would protect the rights of vulnerable communities.
It's always a balance, and I'm recognising that I think that balance has been not necessarily in the right place. I want to have more consistency of police practice when it comes to the conditions they put on these protests, and I have recognised that there is a gap in the law here. There is an inconsistency of practice, and that is why I want to make it absolutely explicit that cumulative disruption is a relevant factor for the police to take into account.
The Conservative leader, Kemi Badenoch, has accused both Labour and Reform UK of sowing division. In a speech welcoming delegates to the party's conference in Manchester, she said the two parties were trying to separate the country into tribes and labels. President Trump says it will soon be clear whether Hamas is genuinely committed to peace. He told CNN earlier the group would face complete obliteration if it refused to give up control in Gaza. Mr. Trump's been speaking to reporters ahead of talks on his peace plan, which will take place in Egypt tomorrow.
You could have peace, if you think about it, peace in the Middle East for the first time in, they say, really 3,000 years. So I'm very honored to be a big part of that. Look, they've been fighting for a plan for years. We get the hostages back almost immediately. Negotiations are going on right now. Will probably take a couple of days, and people are very happy about it.
And efforts are underway to rescue nearly 1,000 people trapped on the eastern side of Mount Everest by a snowstorm. Chinese state media says hundreds of people have been sent to the area, which is at an altitude of 16,000 feet.
Join me for breakfast over on Radio 2.
Oh, I love this show.
It's like being fired out of a breakfast cannon. Davina, go and get a coffee.
I'm going to start dancing.
Margot Robbie, Kylie wants you to play her in a movie.
That is wild. Why has no one ever told me this?
Mariah, would you go into space?
I think I've done enough.
There was talk about doing a gig there. In space? There's places on this planet I'd far rather go to than space.
It's the Scott Mills Breakfast Show.
That gets 10 Goldblums out of a possible 10 Goldblums. There we go. That's my highest rating. It's just part of making every day less every day. Just ask your smart speaker to play
BBC Radio 2.
Love it! This is 5 Live Sports with Steve Crossman.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
Brentford 0, Manchester City 1 in the Premier League. Second half commentary on the way. Already today, Newcastle beat Nottingham Forest 2-0, which just puts more pressure on Ange Postecoglou, who's yet to win as Forest manager.
We've had 3.5 weeks, like I said, 7 games, a little bit of training, not much. I've seen a shift in the way we want to play. I've certainly seen the players embrace what we're trying to do. A couple of wins in there maybe puts a different picture, different perspective on things with the way people see it. We certainly played well enough in that time to have at least a couple more wins in there, but that's okay. It's just a situation we're in. Doesn't affect me. We're in a bit of a sort of fight. We've got a couple of weeks now. We can do some good work with some players who are left in the building, and that's what we'll focus on.
And are you confident you'll be given the time to fight and you'll make those changes?
I just don't think that way. Like I said, if people want to make an assessment of me after 3.5 weeks, what can I do about that? I can't do anything about that. But at the same time, I don't. It's not a situation where I'm thinking that, oh my God, where am I? I want to be here. That's where I want to be. I didn't have to be here. I could have been sitting on the couch watching the game at home. So I'm here, and this is where I want to be. Love a fight. We've got a fight on our hands. I knew it would be a fight. I knew it'd be a struggle. Always is when you want to try to create something. And nothing I've seen has told me that we won't be embarking on something special.
All right, that's Ange Postecoglou. Everton beat Crystal Palace by 2-1. Jack Grealish got the winner. Here he is.
Brilliant day, yeah, obviously to come out in the second half and play the way we did after a difficult first half, to obviously, score the winner as well. My first goal for the club was, brilliant feeling.
Yeah, this place erupted. You've already built up a pretty special relationship with the fans here, and getting a stoppage time winner like that, I imagine that relationship will only grow and grow.
Yeah, for sure. I hope so. The fans have been so good with me, since I've come here. Loved every minute of it. The training, the playing, and I love playing here. At Hill Dickinson. So hopefully it can continue.
Obviously, a lot's been said this week about the England squad, and I imagine there's been some disappointing moments for you. But therefore, to kind of come back and do what you've done now today, getting this winner in stoppage time in this game, it's very dramatic. A positive end to the week, positive headlines. That's got to be a good feeling as well, just to take control of that narrative a bit.
Yeah, do you know what? I don't think it's as deep as everyone says. No. I think at the end of the day, you want to play for the national team, but people are doing well in my position, so I'm doing well also. The guys that were picked last month played really well in the 2 games, so if that's fine with me, that's the manager's decision, and I fully respect that. So all I want to concentrate on is playing here for Everton. They're the one, that pay my wages, so hopefully I can repay them.
That's Jack Grealish with Maz Faruqi. So the other scores then: Aston Villa 2, Burnley 1, Wolves 1, Brighton 1. Second half commentary on the way. Brentford 0, Manchester City 1 in the Championship. Finished Ipswich 3, Norwich 1. Women's Super League: Leicester 1, Everton 1, London City Lionesses 1, Liverpool 0, Spurs 1, Brighton 0, West Ham 0, Villa 2. And in the Scottish Premiership, full times: Aberdeen 4, Dundee 0. That's their first win of the season. Celtic 3, Motherwell 2. Last minute winner for Celtic. And Falkirk 1, Rangers 1. Rangers are 8th in the league. Hearts, top of the Scottish Premiership by 2 points at the international break. 08085 909 693. Once we're done at Brentford, it'll be 606 with Chris Sutton and Robbie Savage. Afternoon, Rob.
Afternoon, Steve. How are you?
I'm really good. There's a lot to get into there, isn't there?
Managers under pressure. Listen, I'm under pressure. First to fit yesterday in 14.
Come on
in the
now.
league.
Not under pressure.
Ange Postecoglou, 7 games without a win. Was that 27 days tomorrow?
Yeah, that's right.
Seriously, in his time, doesn't he? Listen, I'll ask the Nottingham Forest fans. Does Do you give your manager time? I think he needs time. 7 games, 27 days, not long enough.
He'll have known what he was getting into.
It's not long enough.
I know it's not long enough, but I suspect he will have known going in there, this is a volatile owner.
It is, but wow. So no wins in 7. Chris is Nottingham Forest, that is. I think he was at Newcastle today, wasn't he? Newcastle with a good win. Villa with a good win.
Chris is Norwich as well, unfortunately, beaten by Ipswich.
First time, was it in 16 years?
Is that right?
The last win in 2009, I think Ipswich was. Well, who's got the bragging rights now? Christopher. And what about Rangers? Celtic with a last-minute winner, 3-2. Rangers, I think there's no clean sheets on the road in 24. The 8th in the table.
8th in the league, 1 win from 7.
A manager under severe pressure there. So it's going to be a good 6-6. Anything else? You're but a second. What about Coventry? Frank Lampard.
Unbelievable.
Wow. Best XG in the country, playing beautiful football, winning games. Frank Lampard, wow, what a job he's doing. 08085 909 693. And a big shout out to Rochdale. Rochdale yesterday, Jimmy McNulty, the manager, class act. They beat us. They finished our unbeaten run as Scunthorpe were unbeaten as well. They lost. So again, the National League, what a league. Fair play to Rochdale, deserve to be top.
I'm sure you'll start another unbeaten run, mate. Don't worry.
Who knows, eh? Right. FA Cup next week, Steve. We all love the FA Cup, yeah.
Absolutely. Cheers, Robbie. That's Robbie Savage. He'll be with Chris Sutton for 606. Lines open. 08085 909 693. George Russell has won the Singapore Grand Prix. Max Verstappen was second. Lando Norris third. Norris passed his championship rival, the world championship leader, Oscar Piastri, right at the start of the race. Piastri ended up 4th. The gap to him and Norris, though, is still 22 points with 6 races remaining. McLaren sealed the Constructors' title for a 2nd year in a row. Here is the winner, though, Mercedes George Russell.
Yeah, it feels amazing, especially after what happened a couple of years ago. That was a bit of a missed opportunity, but we more than made up for it today. And just so grateful for the team. They did an amazing job this whole weekend. We don't really know where this performance came from, but really, really happy.
But from that first lap in Q3, it looks like you've just been so calm and confident with the package you have. And the same in the race. From the first lap to the end, it looked very, very controlled.
Yeah, I mean, Friday was a really tough day for me for many different reasons, and I wasn't feeling comfortable. But by the time I got to Q3, I felt great in the car, and that's when it matters. And obviously, I was a bit nervous at the beginning when I saw Max on the soft. But that first stint was great from us and extended the gap.
That's George Russell. We had a really dramatic photo finish in the Prix de l'Arc de Triomphe at Longchamp earlier. John Hunt was watching.
Yeah, it looked a great race on paper beforehand, Steve, and so it proved, with Dariz, the French 3-year-old, just getting up in the last few strides to deny Aidan O'Brien's star filly Mini Hawk, the favourite for today's race, in a fabulous finish. There was just a head between them at the line, with then 5.5 lengths back to last year's 4th placed horse Sosi, who finished 3rd this time around. Tremendous battle, and it was nice that it was such a clean race. Christophe Soumillon, the winner, the rider of the runner-up, said there are absolutely no excuses. Sometimes you just have to accept that you're beaten by the better horse. There were 2 British horses in the race, of course. Both ran well. Giavolotto, a fantastic performance, finishing in 4th place. Calpana was back in 7th, and back in between those 2, the best of the 3 Japanese runners, Byzantine Dream, finishing in 5th place. So French then, the French honours the French flag flying over Longchamp. Dariz beats Mini Hawk. The French had 2 winners on the day. Ireland had 3, including 2 for Aidan O'Brien. Australia had 1 as well, with Asfura winning the big sprint. And a bit of a rarity, Steve. Great British trainers go home empty-handed. That doesn't happen very often on Arc Day.
Thank you very much, John. That is John Hunt, our racing commentator. We've had controversy today at the Women's World Cup, the match in Colombo between India and Pakistan. Melissa Story.
Well, Pakistan, they need a further 137 runs to win from 17 and a half overs. It's looking unlikely, but as you say, controversy at the top of the order where Pakistan opener Maniba Ali, she grounded her bat within the crease and then lifted it up for just a moment as the ball came in, struck the stumps. She was given not out originally. However, on reviewing the laws of the game, you're only not out in that situation if you are running or diving. So she was sent off. There was a few reactions from the Pakistan dugout telling her to stay on the pitch, but in the end, she was sent off. So Pakistan, they're 5 down. And yeah, 135 more runs needed for them to win.
Thank you, Melissa. You can hear commentary of the end of that match. It's available right now on 5 Sports Extra. Let's hear from Bob McIntyre next. He's won the Dunhill Links Championship, beating Ryder Cup teammate Tyrrell Hatton by 4 shots at St Andrews.
Diet wasn't great this week. Just been lazy, to be honest with you. But mind frame in the golf course was absolutely superb. When I was warming up, I was in full focus. But yeah, outside of that, I was kind of just winging it this week. But yeah, to get the win is unbelievable.
I walked the first 9-10 holes with your dad today, and he said it's the calmest you've looked at a golf course for a long time. Was it just a carefree attitude this week?
It has been. I mean, look, after last week and the Sunday stress that we had last week, just go out there and play golf. Just getting to play golf in Scotland around these shores, Carnoustie, St Andrews, Kingsbarns. I mean, all top golf courses that I know well, and it was just about going and executing the shots, and yeah, just delighted to get it over.
Bob McIntyre there speaking to Brian McLaughlin. On the final day of the World Para-Athletics in Delhi, Alid Sean Davis won gold in the shot put. That's the 7th and final gold of the championships for Great Britain. And in the Gallagher Premiership, Gloucester 28, Northampton 34 is a full-time score. You are right up to date, and we're ready to go for the second half at Brentford with Mark Schwarzer and correspondent John Murray.
Yes, thank you, Steve. Welcome back to breezy Brentford. The home team are out there, red and white striped shirts, black shorts, and the black socks. Brentford, Callagher in goal. The 3 central defenders, Aya, Vandenberg and Collins. Coyote and Hickey, the wing backs. Henderson, Yarmolyuk, Damsgaard, Sharda and Igor Thiago. But Manchester City leading through the early Erling Haaland goal in the 9th minute of the match. At half-time, by the way, this is part of, I mentioned this right at the start of the match, that today this fixture is dedicated to the charity Heart of West London, which promotes CPR education. And actually at half-time they've been carrying out sort of lessons for everyone in how to carry out CPR. It's been on the big screens, and this is all in tandem with them remembering the former Brentford technical director, Robert Rowan, who died at the age of just 28 back in 2018. And actually the Brentford team who are out there have got the CPQR code on their shirts. So they call it the Community Stadium, and that is an excellent piece of community work from Brentford Football Club. Manchester City players walking out onto the pitch, Mark Schwarzer, and they're walking out there with some confidence about them, don't they? They look like the gunslinger coming out of the doors of the saloon.
Well, certainly Haaland does, with the ball tucked under his arm. I think he thinks he's already got a hat-trick and taken the ball home. Not quite yet, still got a while to go.
He's actually carried the ball out, and he's not given it to Reinders, who's going to kick off. I think that was a touch of theatre from the big man there, who's almost, as you say, like a statement of intent. I've got this ball now, and I intend to be taking it home with me. But just the 1 goal so far. Manchester City get the second half underway, play it back to Donnarumma, who fires it forward. No further changes for Manchester City at the break. The good news is they've played very well. They're winning 1-0. The bad news is they lost Rodri. But this is Coyote on an eye-catching run. Down the right-hand side, socks down, kicks on the Manchester City players. O'Reilly got a touch. It's held back over the top. Coyote's trying to get there, but Donnarumma comes along the dead ball line and pats it down. And Coyote is saying he made a contact with it behind in front of the line, but the referee and officials say no goal kick.
Yeah, linesman was really quick. He was on the spot there, the linesman. He's got the best view. He claimed straight away that Donnarumma was already outside the field of play when he takes the touch on the ball. But a really good run from Coyote. Does so well. And in the end, Henderson's little flick over the top almost goes in the path of him.
So Brentford 0, Manchester City 1. World Service are back with us as well on 5 Live from the BBC as Brentford go back to their goalkeeper Kelleher, who made a couple of decent saves in the first half. He passes it out to Christopher Aya, who is the one change to the starting lineup for Brentford today after the win here against Manchester United last weekend. So Ouattara, one of their big summer signings, is on the substitutes bench today. Ouattara, the club record signing after all of the money that they brought in, Brentford, with the big sales. They spent £42.5 million on Ouattara from Bournemouth, but he, as I say, is on the bench today. Brentford in possession. It's actually 73% point-something percent possession Manchester City had in the first half. It felt like more. And here they are back with the ball. Bob takes it forward. Oh, does well. Beats his man into the area. Might have got a shove in the back. Went down. Referee immediately says no penalty. Collins definitely put his hand on his back. Bob went down. No penalty given. Now it's forward. It's come off the head of Guardiola. Thiago's taking it on. One-on-one. Goalkeeper Donnarumma comes out, makes the save, and it's scrambled away. Well, that's a let-off. Won back by Shada, though, just down in front of us for Brentford. He plays it back centrally. Hickey trying to get there. That is a foul on Bob. And it's a free kick to Manchester City inside their own half. But what a chance that was. And Manchester City aren't happy about it. I think they feel that Thiago fouled Guardiola, I think it was, on the halfway line, but referee didn't see it that way. And they're also asking for a penalty at the other end for that shove by Collins on Bob.
Yeah, Thiago definitely didn't foul Guardiola, not at all. And Thiago's in a great position. He's one-on-one with Donnarumma there, and he just, again, can't quite get control of the ball. And it's sort of under his feet, and by the end, when he does finally get it in the space where he's able to try and dink it over Donnarumma's really cooked off his line. He does so well. He's really big and makes it so difficult for Thiago, but very good goalkeeping. A big chance for Brentford.
Yeah, he's such a big frame, hasn't he, Donnarumma? I'm sure listeners can imagine, if you're in a one-on-one with him and he's coming out, you know, that big chest of his, then you've got to get everything absolutely right. And as you say, Mark, Thiago did take a heavy touch there as he was running through with it as well, which didn't help.
Yeah, it felt like he was up against the wind as well. The ball was played over, and as it was played through, it's sort of getting caught up in the wind. He's not really getting the opportunity to get the ball under his feet, having an opportunity to open up and get a proper strike on the ball.
Brentford, however, have made quite a promising start to the second half. What about the shout that Bob had for the penalty, though?
Yeah, I don't think it was enough in it. I really don't. I think the referee was right there. They've obviously looked at it really quickly because it didn't even come up on the monitors that they're reviewing it. For me, it was definitely not a penalty.
No, and Darren England, the referee, immediately did that motioning, didn't he? Sort of hands over the top of one another, immediately to say that he'd instantly dismissed it.
Yeah,
So
I think he just went down too easily as well.
Yeah.
Oscar Bob.
As free kick conceded by Reinders. Free kick to Brentford near the halfway line. So Manchester City leading by 1-0, but the way that Brentford have started this second half, they came out early, and their body language now is that they very much think that they've still got a chance in this match.
Well, they have. The way they've started this second half, Brentford, it's like they've sort of taken over the reins of what Manchester City did in that first 45 minutes. So, I mean, obviously it's very, very early doors, but they've started very positively. They're in the game. I said at half-time, they're in the game still.
This free kick, Jordan Henderson just had his foot stood on, didn't he, by Gonzalez, but he's all right. So it's a free kick. Gonzalez, the substitute. Free kick taken by Damsgaard to the edge of the area, comes off the head of O'Reilly. No, came off the Brentford head, and it's through for what's given us a goal kick. So Manchester City, having lost Rodri to what looked like a hamstring injury after 20 minutes, Gonzalez coming on. They have Donnarumma in goal, Mateus Nunes, Diaz, who's the captain, with Bernardo Silva on the bench, Guardiola and O'Reilly, that's the back four, then Gonzalez with Reinders and Foden either side of him, Savinho on the left, Bob on the right, and goal scorer Haaland up front. Manchester City playing it out from the back. Foden to Savinho, and then Guardiola runs onto the ball and passes it forward, and Reinders has got space in front of him now. Reinders making good ground as City pour forward in the sky blue shirts from right to left. But Bob actually goes back, and they go all the way back towards the halfway line. Strange sort of light now with grey skies above, but weak sunshine. You can just see through the tower blocks to my left, and the floodlights brightly on. Bob is challenged by Hickey. It's out of play for what is given as a throw-in to Manchester City. So the choice of listening right now on your BBC Sounds app, the India-Pakistan match at the Women's Cricket World Cup is on Sports Extra, and the Women's Super League Grand Final is on Sports Extra 2 between Wigan and St Helens. So Sports Extra 2, which you can only listen to via the BBC Sounds app. And in the cricket, Pakistan 124 for 5 in the 35th over chasing 248 to win. As I say, the commentary on Sports Extra. There's Manchester City, who are parked inside the Brentford half. Reinders, the Manchester City number 4, turns, gives a little pass to Foden, just runs away from O'Reilly. Nico O'Reilly was named in Lee Carsley's under-21 squad on Friday afternoon, all the way back to Diaz, and then Gvardiol receives it, rolls it forward over to the left-hand side to O'Reilly. Now Reinders, 30 yards out to Foden, who's in the D, drags it back, gives it to his right to Bob. Oscar Bob now, lots of red and white shirts in the way, and he shoots into Damsgaard it was, who was able to go to ground and block that cross-come shot from Oscar Bob. Still Manchester City putting pressure on the Brentford defence. Savinho actually angles it back to Gonzalez, and then Ruben Diaz, little touch from him to Mateus Nunez. Oscar Bob on the stretch wins a throw-in over there on the far side for Manchester City.
Yeah, Manchester City have just regained control of the game a little bit, steadied the tempo, slowed it down a little bit, and Brentford are back into that sort of defensive mode.
Yes, the pattern that we saw for the majority of the first half. Keith Andrews, also all in black, just comes to the edge of his coaching area, watching Foden use Mateus Nunez, and now Oscar Bob again. Jeremy Doku on the substitutes bench, like Bernardo Silva, for this match. City with Diaz, and then Gonzalez back to Gvardiol. Gvardiol just goes round Thiago, who had that big chance early in the second half, one-on-one. Given away though, and Sharda for Brentford takes it on through the middle. The sliding challenge comes in from Gvardiol. Sharda feels that he was fouled by Gvardiol. Referee not interested. Manchester City back in possession.
Yeah, I think the referee got the one wrong. I think Gvardiol grabs hold of Sharda's arm and goes down with him. I think it's a foul. It's unfortunate for Brentford. One opportunity again to try and put a bit more pressure on Manchester City.
Lines open for 606. Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton, of course, on a Sunday night. So 08 085 909 693 to join in with the UK's most popular football phone in. That number free from landlines and mobiles. You can get in touch. Hashtag BBC 606 or 85058 if you want to text at your standard message rate. But that'll be from around about 6:30 tonight with Robbie, who we heard from at half-time, and Chris Sutton. City with Savinho. Now O'Reilly, and then back to Gvardiol again. This blustery, swirling wind continues to whip around the G-Tech Community Stadium as Coyote puts in the challenge, but Manchester City, Foden, strong there, is able to come out with it. Lovely turn from O'Reilly just down in front of us, but under pressure from Yarmolyuk, runs the ball out of play, and it's a throw into Brentford, 10 yards inside their own half. It's just about staying in the game, isn't it, for Brentford?
Yeah, I think that's pretty much what it's been like so far up to this point. You know, 56th minute in the game, just had to try and hold on as much as they can. You know, defensively be tough to break down. Yeah, City are going to create chances, ride your luck at times a little bit, but at 1-0, Brentford are very much still in this.
Brentford with it on the edge of their own penalty area. It comes square to Aya, and then the Norwegian again plays it forward towards the halfway line, but Gvardiol step forward. Jordan Henderson knocks that forward. He's trying to chase this. Good luck, Jordan Henderson, against Gvardiol, who comfortably gets there first. Still Henderson putting the pressure on. Donnarumma asks a lot of Gvardiol, and actually Thiago gets involved as well and deflects it out of play. However, listen to the effect of that piece of play from Jordan Henderson, who was never ever going to get to the ball, but it's had an effect on the atmosphere inside the ground.
Well, the end result as well. I mean, the pressure on Donnarumma as the ball gets played back to him. Yes, he's not going to get there. We don't think so unless Donnarumma makes a big mistake. But he forces Donnarumma to try and hit that ball, and he gets it slightly wrong, overhits it a little bit. Yeah, they don't win the throw, but they put Manchester City in an area where they've got to try and deal with the throw and try and work their way out.
Savinho has gone down. Aya has given him a piece of his mind, feels that Savinho has made too much of that. And then as he came back onto the field, he actually was straight into the action, Savinho. Then forward from Collins towards the edge of the box. It hits Thiago, but doesn't bounce for him. That's won back well by Hickey, though. Still again, Hickey in the challenge with Mateus Nunes. Hickey then goes down, but I'm not sure whether that should be given as a free kick either, and the referee doesn't think so. And Brentford, though, are in possession. But excellent play from Hickey, nevertheless.
Yeah, really good. There was a couple of moments there from Brentford where Manchester City have the ball. They look like they're going to play either way, out of danger. But it's just a quick reaction from Brentford players on their front foot to try and win the ball high up in Manchester City's half, and it's worked a couple of times there.
It has. Mark Schwarzer with us on 5 Live in the World Service. Brentford 0, Manchester City 1. City have been the better footballing team by a distance, but Brentford are displaying lots of spirit and character. And Shada now with a cross to Coyote, who gets up high against O'Reilly, but heads it high and wide by 2 or 3 yards. But, you know, as I say, Mark, the spirit, the character, the effort is absolutely all there for Brentford, and the crowd are buying into that.
Yeah, they are. Coyote there gets up so high at that far post area above O'Reilly. I mean, he's jumped. That's enormous. His vertical jump is huge. Just can't control the header.
The Italian, another of the summer arrivals, the right wing back, who was on loan last season, now permanently here, former Juventus youngster. Coyote, as Manchester City played forward to Haaland, who's still in his own defensive third. Here's one forward for Savinho to chase. He's all on his own, but blue shirts are arriving. Haaland through the middle. Savinho tries to give it back to him, but it's tidied up by Vandenberg. And Kelleher's got to be quick there, which he is. He turns against Haaland, and then it's played forward, but the referee's given the free kick. I think Haaland put his hands on Kelleher, so that's a free kick.
Yeah,